Adrian, you've been in this field for 15 years. Have you had like certain goals you were working on?
There's so many people that you may not know that are holding the opportunity for you to have your shot at changing your life. This is a city where dreams are made or they're broken.
And it's a city where many try, but only the obsessed survive.
Good cinematography means nothing if the writing isn't there, if the emotion isn't conveyed.
But there's one super important step that most creators underestimate. Adrian, you've been in this field for 15 years, right?
Yeah.
How did it all start?
Man, 15 years from like when I started to become a professional, or just like in general when I started?
Becoming a professional in photo and video.
Yeah, so I mean, I've had a camera in my hand for as long as I can remember. You know, I always felt like this was the thing that I was destined to do, and I was delusional enough to follow that. And I made it work out of like sheer determination. And I had Asian immigrant parents who expected me to be a doctor or work in some sort of, some prestige, workforce. And they left their country behind for me to just be like, yeah, I want to make silly little videos and art and photos and whatnot. So they didn't get it. But I was really determined to prove them wrong. And one half, my mom was like, you're going to be great at it. My other half, my dad was like, until you can start paying your own bills, then I don't understand this. So it really just started with me dropping out of high school, which I don't advise anybody to do. And then I went into a dental program, which I dropped out of that. I didn't tell my parents. But during that whole time, like I was sharpening my skills as just a hobbyist. And I eventually started getting paid for doing what I did, like $50 here, $150 there, and a whole lot of free work to build my portfolio. And I just got involved. I got involved with the right people. I did free work for the right people. And that's something that a lot of folks, you should stray away from that, because you should protect yourself as a creative, get paid what you're worth. But to be honest, my entire career has been built off of doing the right work for the free people with the right opportunity, taking the right bets, and trusting my intuition that, obviously I've been screwed over a bunch, but the ones that paid off right were the ones that took me to the light. And that's how it all started. And it started as snowballing. This client trusted me here, and this other client up here trusted the work I did down here, and this client up here saw the work I did here, and it just kept on growing. I was determined to never regress, and always to just continue over-delivering what the ask was.
Tell me more about over-delivering.
If I was given a $500 budget, you can best believe I'm trying to make it look like it was $1,000. I'm pulling all favors. I mean, this is like when I had nothing to show for it. When I had a $1,000 budget, I was like, how can I make this look like a $5,000 production? When I was given a $50,000 budget, how can I make this look like it has like a $250,000 budget? And I did that for so long, and like I owed so many people favors, like all the DPs, rental houses, and these editors and producers. I'm like, yo, if you trust me, I will take us to the light. And I don't know what it was. Somehow they trusted me. I don't ever really I think the skill was there, but I think I was just a people person, and they trusted me as a person, and they helped get me there. And now I've been able to hire all these people and, pay them everything that they deserve and more, and give them awesome opportunities. And yeah, I would just over deliver and make sure that the people who took care of me as this delusional director that moved to LA, they made me look like a star with my ideas. And I would tell the clients, give me this opportunity, I will crush this. And that was also done just by, somehow convincing them that I could.
With New Trend Society, we want to bring together marketeers, founders, creatives, and a lot of them are not from here. A lot of them moved over here maybe a couple of years ago, maybe a couple of months ago. I just talked to some folks, they just moved a couple of weeks ago to Los Angeles, right? And it's a city where many try, but only the obsessed survive, or the obsessed stay for a long time. You grew up in San Francisco, in the city, and then took the leap of faith and moved over to Los Angeles.
Yeah, I was doing this in San Francisco from when I first started up until 2018. I was doing music videos and commercials. I was working at a post house. I was a creative director, whatever that really means. And yeah, I really don't know what creative director means. But yeah, I was a creative director. I worked at a desk. I worked at a candy store. I did all these little things along the way. And then I won a bunch of awards in the Bay. And I remember as a music video director, there was like the Mount Rushmore, or the Infinity Stones of musicians I wanted to work with, that if I worked with all of them as a director, I can now allow myself to come to LA. And I remember that last one I did was in 2018. I collected that last Infinity Stone and I moved out here. It was E40 and the Jabberwockies. And that was really cool. And like 3 weeks later, I moved down here. I moved down here after having done Super Bowl commercials, some awesome things for like the Warriors, and a couple of really cool brands and whatnot. But when I moved to LA, I was out here delivering food again, driving Uber in my Prius, plugging in lights, tying up cables, running coffee. It's like, I knew that there was a glass ceiling in my hometown. And mind you, San Francisco is like, it's a huge city, but it's not LA. I always say LA is like...
It's also not an entertainment city, right?
Yeah, it's a tech hub. And over here, I always say like, this is a city where dreams are made or they're broken. And it's not even the most skilled people that make it. It's the people who are good people, right? And people who are incredibly determined and obsessed to not fail. Because there's been a whole bunch of losses. I can guarantee I have more losses on my record than I do have wins. But those small handful of wins has brought me to where I am.
Tell me about one big loss.
Oh my gosh, I have so many. Not delivering on time, not getting paid at all. So many of these things that I didn't do to protect myself, or maybe a misunderstanding of whatever the client wants from me. I can't even pinpoint like one huge one. It's just so much of my career has been a learning process.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about learning. It's sharpening the axe and getting better. And we're going to talk about all these challenges you did and how you did start out your content and social media and all that in a little bit. But I want to double down a little bit on these first days out here in Los Angeles. You were the big star in San Francisco, and we have kind of have this in common, right? I'm from Leipzig in Germany. We also had huge agency there, worked with all these clients and all that, and you were a household name. And at some point, you moved over here to Los Angeles, and absolutely nobody gives a shit, right? And one story, I'm good friends with the Red Bull CEO in Germany, right? And I thought I can ask a favor, like, hey, can you do an intro to your counterpart here in LA? And he's like, yeah, sure, why not, right? So, and he wrote an intro email. It's like, hey, here, this is Benny, we work together, we do this, we do that. And this guy just straight ghosted us. So no feedback at all. And it took 2 years, and at some point I met a guy random at Venice Run Club, and he worked with Red Bull, and now we're working with them again. So, but it takes forever, and you gotta start again here from zero, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, one, because of social media, everybody thinks that things should be instant. And you see people winning, and you think you should be winning just because you moved to this magical city. It doesn't work like that. And a lot of people think that's the case. Like, a lot of people also don't show their losses or their hardship, man. Like, just like what you were saying, you had so much success in your hometown. You come here and you're legit like a nobody. But also that's motivating for me because I was obsessed with leveling up with it. I was determined, and I knew that I had the skill. Like the only thing that was holding me back was not knowing the right people, which is awesome. Like being at a thing like this, or a lot of mixers and networking opportunities, it really came down to somehow finding the person that I knew that could give me the right opportunity. As long as I'm sharpening my skills and you know, and doing what I need to do for when the right opportunity comes, I could crush it. And that has been so much of my career. Like I meet somebody and we chat, we don't even really talk about work, and it's like, oh cool, you do that, that's cool, well I'm this, and maybe we could, you know, maybe we'll see each other somewhere down the line. And so many of those random occurrences have changed my life.
When you make all these connections, or when you made these connections in the first place, was it more like random? You just showed up at a party, at a mixer, so and were like, yeah, I met this person, or were you like actually strategic and like, hey, I gotta meet some people in the creative industry, and then I gotta be a PA, production assistant, work on a set and all that? Have you had like certain goals you were working on?
No, I knew that, one, I could tell immediately when something's transactional. So I knew not to make things transactional. My goal was, if I'm a good person and I talk to someone, whether, I hate to use levels to this stuff, but like if somebody's here, I don't care. If I just treat somebody like a normal human being and like just chat it up, like the way we were chatting it up, we just met, we were just talking.
Yeah, like deep.
Yeah, and if I make good conversation with somebody and, you know, a non-transactional interaction, then more than likely they're gonna think you're a good human being. And I always kept that as how I brought myself to others. And that's led me to some of the greatest opportunities. And I know it may sound like a bunch of like woo or whatever it may be a good person and you'll get a job. Like, not necessarily, but the unfortunate truth is, I don't want to say that the gatekeepers of things are out there, but I mean, there's so many people that you may not know that are holding the opportunity for you to have your shot at changing your life. And I just treated every single person like that, and it worked out for me.
What role plays that people actually have you on their radar, top of mind, when that opportunity comes?
Well, I would like to think what kept me at the top of their mind is my portfolio, but I think that's standard. Everybody, everywhere is skilled and talented. So I guess somewhat it is strategic when I am a nice person to somebody. Like I like complimenting people, and that's not just because I know it works. It's like, I know it makes people feel good. I don't think I got complimented much growing up. You know, I grew up in a pretty rough neighborhood, so you know, somebody made me feel good about my outfit or I don't know, anything, the sports team that I like, I remember that. So if I'm in a room and I like somebody's outfit, I don't care who they are, what they do, and be like, yo, that fits fire. That's really cool. And like, maybe we'll chat about fashion, or if I like your watch, I'm gonna tell you your watch is nice. And that's usually how I start the conversation. And I think it's a mixture of just being a personable person. I always talk about the soft skills being just as important as the hard skills. The hard skills being your craft, the soft skills being just a good, non-scummy human being. And you put those two together, I don't want to say maybe you'll end up at the top of somebody's mind, but you're not going to make a bad impression, that's for sure.
I mean, you want to be a fun person to hang around, right? So
yeah.
When we work with the agency, we have a lot of people in-house, but we also hire some freelancers here and there. And you spend a lot of time to get on set. It's long days, 14 days shoot, 14 hours shoot for a couple of days. You travel, you do all that, and you want to do this with people you can hang out with, where you can have fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's that's the outlook I keep when I hire folks as well. I'm hiring people like, I'd say half skill and half personality. If we get along, more than likely your skill is going to catch up because we're going to be around each other for long enough.
And so that's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
So when was the first big win for you in LA?
Oh, my first big win. This is when I knew things were going to turn around. So I got hired as a behind-the-scenes photographer, and it goes back to the over-delivering. I got hired as a behind-the-scenes photographer, and by this time, I was already doing full-blown production shoots for, I don't know, six-figure budgets and whatnot. But it was during the pandemic, so shoots were scaled back. They were smaller, and people were focused more on content now. And there was this opportunity that came by, and we had never worked before, but we were just good homies. And he was like, yo, I need a behind the scenes photographer. And I was like, yo, I'll do it. $500, which is like insane. But behind the scenes photo and video with edits, huge artist. And so I went on set and I made sure, one, I didn't get in anybody's way. There was already an on-set photographer for this huge production. There was already a director. I got to chop it up with the director. I was a huge fan of the director, actually. I was like, yo, dude, I love your stuff. But yeah, I told him, I was like, I'm a huge fan. I'm just here hired by the label, and I'm gonna try not to get in your way, but I'm gonna snap some photos for the label. I did that, and there was this really cool photo opportunity, and I got pretty good with the artists on set, and that goes back to the soft skills. I was like, yo, I love your music. I'm here to shoot photos and video. And they decided to set up this photo that I was able to arrange, and I snapped that photo. It ended up becoming the cover photo for the album, and then they paid me to own it outright, and it ended up becoming platinum and double platinum.
Wow.
And
Wow.
the label decided to send me a plaque. I was like, oh shit, I have a platinum plaque now because they liked the photo. And that was from me being a behind the scenes photographer, doing something that I know that was, I want to say, under my skill set, but I knew it was a huge opportunity to over deliver and shine on something. And then from there, it just snowballed. That label trusted me doing more and more things with bigger and bigger artists. And I found myself going from behind the scenes to the actual photographer, to the actual director, to the actual production company, just from that gig.
That's an amazing story, and I love how you think about these, being humble, over delivering, because especially if you're in your career since a while, you have a certain standard, right? Oh, I have my day rate, I have this, I have that. You become actually a little bit arrogant or so. At least that's what happened to me, and you need to step back sometimes and go out in the field again, right? And do the job and do the whole thing, and that's where the real opportunities are, right?
Yeah, and I think your client could tell. Like, they could tell if, like, don't do a job if you're gonna feel undercut, but you still do it because you need the money, and then your whole approach to the job is, well, I'm not getting paid my full rate anyways. Like, you're only going to lose, and you're only going to leave a bad impression. Those people are only going to talk about you and tell their other agency friends not to hire you. So if you approach everything, it's like it's a job that you deserve and you know that you can crush, you're only going to leave a good impression if you over deliver, or even if you just deliver on the mark. And that's been my whole approach to my career.
Determination and persistence has been a huge thing for you, and I think 2023 changed everything for you. You blew up on social. You invented a new style of storytelling on Instagram. You raised the bars for every creator worldwide. And you did what Casey Neistat did 15 years ago on YouTube, starting a daily content series, but on a level that we've never seen before.
Thank you. Yeah, it just goes back to I was just determined and obsessed to over deliver. And at the time, 2022, so much of production changed. I'm sure a lot of us here noticed, but like productions, if you're not at like the highest level making a BMW commercial with a $2 million budget, like so much of that middle, 500 grand, 200 grand, even 50 grand level, like they're cutting it to make more content. So I saw that and I felt that even with the clients that I worked with, it went from doing full scale music videos to let's also do content. So I took a bet on myself to do content. I'm glossing over this, but life had really shook me up and humbled me. And I needed to figure out another layer to give myself career security. So I made content. And I saw that there was a space in social media space where there weren't that many creative professionals making content around what it's like being a creative professional. I was like, I would
Especially
post.
not on Instagram, right? Maybe on YouTube there was a Peter
Yeah.
McKinnon or so, but he was also very technical.
For sure. And like this isn't to downplay what creators who are social first do, but so many of the professionals I knew and respected, they're working on their career. They never cared about posting on social media. Same with me. And I've worked with most people under the sun. I would probably say I post like 10% of it on my social media before I started making content. And because we were all chasing the Emmy, the Grammy, or the whatever it may, the Cannes Lion Award, whatever it may be, and people on social media were making videos about social media topics, and it was so separated. I saw that there was this middle ground. If I came to this space from here and talked about what life is like here, maybe people would be interested in that. And mind you, not that many people did this. The only other person who I knew really did this was, there was this gaffer who talked about how he does lighting on these big Hollywood productions, and then Casey Neistat, who was like an actual professional filmmaker who started making social content. And I started talking about what life is like and some tips that I've learned as a filmmaker. And I never would have thought that people would be more interested in the person who did the work than the work at hand. It's just like my whole career was built off of, if you like this person, you're going to like my work because you like this person. I never would have thought I did this thing and you want to know about the person who did this thing. And I didn't see much of that online, so I started making that kind of content, and a whole bunch of people decided it was cool to watch.
And you did it for 365 days straight.
Yeah, it goes back to me being wildly obsessed with a thing and being determined. In 2022, November, I devised this plan to post 365 days straight, starting January 1st of 2023. And I started making that content 6 weeks out, a whole bunch of different formats. But I was strategic about it. I saved the best ones for the end of January, because if I came out with the bangers first, I knew nobody would follow, because it's like, oh, this guy said he's posting every day, but this is his first or second video, I'm not gonna follow. So I posted
You gotta see it a couple times, right? Until you commit to, oh, is he really doing it?
Yeah. So I posted 29 videos and I saved that banger of a video for the 30th day. And just like I had hoped, that was the one that worked out. I mean, the thing is, when I say worked out, I was like, my goal is I'm gonna get 10,000 followers by the end of the year. This video is probably gonna do 20, 30, maybe 40,000 views. And I remember one day waking up, and I remember this vividly because it felt like a dream, and it still feels like a dream. I woke up and there was 50,000 followers the next morning, and that was weird. And I was like, who hacked my account? That's like, there's no fucking way. And I was telling my girlfriend, I was like, babe, look at this. Like this video's blowing up. She's like, that's sick. But the thing is, I thought somebody, some scammer from somewhere bought fake followers.
Some Saudi prince gifted you some followers.
Dude. And I thought somebody bought fake followers for me, and then I saw the comments, and I remember I was playing golf that day. I showed up with my homies, and every hole we finished, I would look at my phone, it would be like 2,000 new followers. By the end of the day, I had like 70,000 followers. I was like, holy shit.
Okay, I should play more golf. where do you play?
Honestly, you should play more golf, man. It's
where do you
amazing.
Play?
Anywhere I can.
Nice.
It's hard to get a tee time out here in LA.
Yeah, there's a tea time mafia. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, and people buy them up and resell them, dude. It's hard.
But I have a plaque at Mountain Gate now. We can play there.
Oh, hell yeah.
Let's do it.
Sick country club. But yeah, man, I remember it so vividly. I remember by the time after 9 holes, I bought a hot dog and like, that's what you eat at a golf course. Yeah, I was just like, holy shit, dude, like this is real. And all my 3 homies were like, so what does this mean now? Like, are you like famous? I'm like, no, fucking no, I'm not.
It's the only thing that changes. They're gonna pick me up with a helicopter now, right?
Yeah, dude. I mean, getting followers is not synonymous to making money, you know? And I remember like a couple weeks later, like Instagram, I woke up, Instagram gave me like the blue check. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, okay, this is crazy. And it's like, what do I do with this? But anyways, I just continued on with the plan, and I just put my best effort at it. I over-delivered what Instagram was expecting, what TikTok was expecting. Like nobody was putting that much thought into silly little short form content. Like the most effort people put into short form content back in the day was setting up your phone and dancing, right? And that's cool. I have a lot of respect for people who's built careers off of that, but I just was so uninspired when I would look at my Explore page back in 2022. I just wanted to add something to it that I know me as a creative would appreciate. And that was by relentlessly and tirelessly working at an actual craft, but making it digestible for social media. And I'm very thankful that it worked out.
There's shooting, editing, and posting, but there's one super important step that most creators, most people underestimate. Which one is that?
Writing, and don't let ChatGPT do it for you either, because man, I use AI so much. I could literally hear content that is just AI written, and so the reason why I was able to post so much is because I spent so much time writing the best commercials, the best movies, the best shorts. What all video is just really good writing. Like good cinematography means nothing if the writing isn't there, if the emotion isn't conveyed, if there is no proper screenplay or proper writing to your film or your video, it's not gonna work. There's no amount of editing and filming that can save it.
And by writing, you don't necessarily mean writing a book or like a screenplay, so it can be just an iPhone note, right?
Yeah, everything from bullet points to maybe even making a script and a shot list. Like for me, when I do things like, if I were to recap an event, like if I get sent out to recap Coachella, like you can't script that, but I'm gonna have bullet points as to what B-roll I want, what on-screen dialogue I want, just things that I make sure I don't miss so that when I'm editing, I don't have too much footage. I've never been a fan of having too much footage. Like that just makes the editing process a pain in the ass. And anybody who shoots here or anybody who edits here and gets a folder full of footage from whoever the videographer is on it, dude, I hate it.
It's like 200 gigabytes of whatever.
Yeah, so I was very strategic in how I filmed my content, and most of it was written out to the T. I would write my script, I would put every single shot that I wanted to see on it, whether it's a wide shot, a medium shot, a close-up, extreme close-up, high angle, low angle, driving shot. aerial shot, overhead, whatever it was, I spent the extra time in the writing so that when I went out and filmed, it was easy. I followed my roadmap, but what it made it even easier doing was editing. Like I was able to edit in like 30, 45 minutes an entire video, sometimes even faster than that. Like now I could assemble a video in like 15 minutes. I mean, I'm only making like 90-second videos, but if I have my script and my shot list there and I know exactly what my first line is, I'm dragging and dropping it in there. What's my second line? I drag it and drop it. I know what B-roll transitions I'm doing, I drag and drop it. So I was able to sustain this pace without killing myself or killing the creativity, because it was just all laid out there for me. If I left it up to my creative interpretation to edit the footage that I shot without a roadmap, without the writing, I probably would have only made it like 5 days, 10 days if I didn't have those scripts.
If you had to start over, which platform would you choose and what would you do today? I think there's a lot of young folks here in the audience who are curious and who are just about to graduate, so they have time afterwards. What should they do?
Well, it just depends on what your goals are. In my opinion, I think YouTube, let me rewind that. It depends on what your goals are. In my opinion, YouTube, because somebody is making a conscious effort and decision to click on your video and watch it. This person not only they're not scrolling through a feed and only watching what's given to them, but they're deliberately watching something, right? And that creates a deeper relationship with the audience and the creator. It's a lot harder. It's a lot higher stakes because you spend more time, effort, maybe money into production. The amount of time it takes to make one YouTube video, I could probably make 30 short form videos. And if you're not into making long form, Instagram, because Instagram, in my opinion, you could actually build a community. Your followers could see your work way more than TikTok. And it just feels more like the friend sharing app. And if your goals are to make longer form videos, go to YouTube, obviously. But if you were to do short form, Instagram or TikTok, Instagram. And that's just because you can actually build a good portfolio. You can message people. I don't think anybody's reading TikTok DMs. And yeah, I feel like TikTok's cool. There's a bunch of brain rot on there, which I do enjoy. But yeah, if your goals are to just experiment and create and put things up that aren't perfect and fail and learn, Instagram in short form is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. In our agency BDX, I do like every quarter a little presentation with my team about like new trends and which people to follow and what kind of content should be on, what are people we like that inspire us. And you've been in there like the past 3 times, like since 2023. I think in mid 2023 you were in the first time. That was right like when you start with that whole challenge and all these big bold yellow fonts. I actually have a slide.
Sick.
Use more big bold yellow fonts, whether it's on social but also in like the traditional media. And it was a huge inspiration for us. So if we work on that presentation for next time, who else should we put on there? Do you have any recommendations for cool creators that inspire you right now?
Oh yeah, there's so many. One guy, his editing is incredible. His name is John Busog? I don't know how to pronounce his last name. John.
I think I saw.
His edits are insane. He does like 3D kinetic type text on videos.
He also did some where he did a breakdown of some other creators, right? Was it that guy?
No, he just makes his own videos. I can share it with you after.
Nice.
But
We'll
another person who's really, really good, his handle is RPN. His name is Roberto, I don't know what the P stands for, but Roberto Nixon. So RPN is a good one. And then this YouTuber, his name is Gawx, Gawx. Incredible filmmaker. Check those guys out.
Nice. We work with a lot of brands, and some brands really crushing it on social, and some have some challenges. Do you have any recommendations what brands should do to be as genuine, as meaningful, but also thoughtful about their content? What should they do?
I don't think I'm a branding expert for brands, but I think it just depends on what your goals are. If your goals are to create awareness and funny videos, getting some Gen Z kid who's really good at making brain rot content works, But if even some prestige brands, like I don't know if it's Loewe, but they make some pretty funny social media content. If you look at like Pine Sol's TikTok, it's ridiculous. It's like, have you seen it?
No.
Pine Sol, like the cleaning solution. If you guys haven't seen Pine Sol on TikTok, it is some of my favorite. You know what? I'm gonna show you guys.
Here we go. How do you guys like it so far? It's okay? Nice. Okay, here we go. Pine Sol. Check it out.
But yeah, I think this is if you're just going for views and virality, this works. I don't know how much it does for the brand, but this is pretty ridiculous here. Here we go. Let's see. I hope this isn't inappropriate. Let's see what's on here. Who knows?
You want to clean. You want to clean. It's my body. What's up?
Yeah, I don't know what that actually does for the brand, but it's funny.
Definitely creates some eyeballs.
Yeah, I already use Pine Sol, but I'm definitely gonna continue using Pine Sol because it's funny.
I cleans.
I'm actually considering cleaning though.
Yeah, they made a song. Listen to this.
I clean so deep I got out all my anger. I think so deep I'm now finally be around again.
My brain doesn't work that way.
Dear.
My brain doesn't work that way, but those brands are winning. There's so many brands that are just making brain rot content, and it's just so funny. I don't know how much more product they sell, but they're definitely talked about. It's definitely part of cultural relevance. I don't know what a brand's ROI may be making content, but I don't think people are buying. Actually, maybe. Scrub Daddy does a really good job too. There's also a lot of people there's a lot of social media managers who are really good at bothering the CEO of a company. That's always funny too, asking my boss this or annoying my boss and it humanizes the founder of the company. That's pretty funny, but yeah, I think, in my opinion, I think commercials, really polished commercials, are still kind of important, but not as much. I think if somebody's talking about your brand, that's being culturally relevant is still the most important. And whether you're spending $1 million on a commercial or you're spending $50,000 on social media spend, if you're being talked about, it's a good thing.
Nice. Let's talk a little bit more about cultural relevance, maybe as the last topic for today. And the city that all connects us here is Los Angeles. What does this mean to you to live here? You show in your videos all these different places. What does LA mean to you?
What LA means to me? LA is the place that changed my life. It's a place where so many creative people from all around the world come to hopefully make their dreams come true with obviously determination, grit, and resilience. And I've been so blessed with meeting a bunch of amazing people in this city who's given me the opportunity to make cool things and then leading to make cool things around the world. I don't think I could have done this in my hometown. I don't think I could have done this even in New York or Miami. I don't think I could have done this in Paris or Tokyo. It's such a unique place where delusional people just like me will move to and give up the comfort for their dreams and their aspirations. And I don't think I'd be in this place that I am right now if it wasn't for being in this city and being around a bunch of just as ridiculously delusional people as I am. And I'm very grateful for that.
Amazing. Guys, I think we close it down here, and let's open it up to the audience for a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Down for that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Nice. Any questions for our master? Yeah, we've one over there from Sarah.
Mine were really fun. Okay. Thank you guys so much. It was a really cool conversation, and I feel like I'm Australian. I lived in New York, and I've been out here in LA for 5 years, and I feel like you made me fall in love with LA again. So thank you. How do you have a yellow background on your profile?
Oh, yeah. So Instagram had this awards called Rings a few weeks ago, which was really cool, and I was one of the 25 winners. And what's really cool was like art is such a subjective thing, right? And there's some lists and awards or whatever that I've made it on, but they're based off of metrics. And if you're on Time 100, it's because you've done X amount in business and you have a certain amount of followers. And the one right before that, The Hollywood Reporter just put one out that was like 10 billion views served. And that was also views and numbers based. What Instagram did was like, we're gonna put together a panel of judges that I hugely respect, like Spike Lee, Cause, Pat McGrath, Mark Jacobs, a whole bunch of awesome people. And they were like, all right, we're gonna send you some creators from every vertical, and you guys are gonna pick 25 winners, not based off of how many followers they have, but based off of how cool you think their work is. So Instagram gave me some cool features as a winner. And so yeah, like my profile's yellow, I have the gold ring, it's cool. It's really, really cool, yeah.
Perfect. Love it.
There's 24 others.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi.
I wanted to ask, do you like when you moments when you want to give up? Maybe you can add certain between build where you have moments when you're like, okay, this is too much with not doing like I'm quit.
Yeah, I fucking spent so many times crying in my car delivering food and shit, and like, you know, trying to make ends meet, and it just wasn't meeting, and questioning if I even had the skill to make it out here. But I actually like never allowed myself to give up. But that question will creep into my mind every so often when I felt like things weren't going my way, and life has humbled me a lot. It's humbled me so fucking much. I'm 35 now, like, man, like so many things that had happened to me where I'm just like, yo, fuck this. I'm going to apply to jobs. And at one point I did. Here's a story. I was 32. I was 32 with some cool watches. I had a cool car. I had experienced life. And in October of 2022, I had $13 in my bank account. As a 32-year-old man, what a fucking loser, right? So I was about to give up. And what I mean by giving up was like, I'm gonna hang up doing creative work, I'm gonna apply to jobs. And I applied to 66 jobs. I fucking got 0. No callbacks, no emails. Actually, 4 companies were nice enough to tell me that I'm not what they're looking for. All the other ones, all 62 other ones ghosted me. And yeah, I just didn't have it in me to quit for whatever reason that is. I don't know if it's delusion or obsession or a bit of determination, maybe a bit of childhood trauma, right? That I wasn't allowed to give up. If I set myself to do something, you're gonna get whooped if you give up. So yeah, it was a lot of that. And I just didn't allow myself to do that. But even to this day, like I'm like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? As people think that because you have followers and you work, with such and such, like, do you think that you're on the right path? Maybe. I ask myself that. I mean, I'm currently going through that. Next week, I'm dropping the biggest project I've ever worked on in my life. And like, I'm so nervous. I'm scared to put the thing out. And what happens after I announce this project, I know whether it goes well or if it flops, and I take a huge hit to my ego, I'm going to ask myself, like, should I just give this shit up? But I don't allow myself to.
I was there.
Yeah.
Let's do one more question. And one thing I forgot to ask you is actually about that project. It's called the Content College.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to learn to be as good of a filmmaker as you, it's kind of like everything you learned in 15 years going down. And can you just share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I don't want to take too much time from folks asking questions. I know the questions is really valuable, but in 30 seconds, basically, Content College is the cherry-picked information and knowledge that I've learned, not just from me being out there in the field as a full-time filmmaker and freelancer, but having had learned from some of the really incredible directors and photographers and people that I've got to pick their brains, everybody from Christopher Nolan to David LaChapelle. And I've got to ask them and learn from them and see what works and what doesn't work. And I've packed it in there to not what'll help you be a better freelancer, but what'll help you make better content.
Nice. Amazing, man. That's cool. You have one more question? Okay, maybe the gentleman. Maybe let's do two more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do some more. Why not? Ready for lunch? Nothing joke. Sorry, can you turn?
This is all good, man.
What I think of you and your work, a lot of things impress me, but probably the number one thing that comes to mind for me is your ability to create large volumes of content in like a really diligent way. I feel like I'm always seeing on your story you post like just made 62 videos or something like that. And I'm just like, how does this guy do this? For me, the thing I'm most interested in is how do you, when you're doing such a large volume of content like that, how do you keep that feeling like play? And like, how do you keep it fun for yourself?
One, I think that I am very blessed with what I do is fun, even though it's work. So that's the answer to that. Number two, that I like that you asked that question because that is my number one most asked question in my DMs and my comments. How are you able to pump out so much content without sacrificing quality or burning yourself out? I've made this, the thing is, this is like a 10-minute answer. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to shamelessly plug this.
Let's go.
Next Wednesday, I'm actually doing a free workshop online as to how I take one idea and make multiple videos out of it without crushing yourself or burning yourself out. It's, I've never actually talked about this on my social platform because it's such a drawn out process. And it has to be, it's done in pre-production. It's like, to take my workshop that I'm doing next week, it's on the 12th, to condense it in like 90 seconds, you have to meet people where they are, right? At any given moment, your favorite song may not be your favorite song when you listen to it, depending on what you did that day, what you're going through, or just where you're at in life. It doesn't make it a worse song. It doesn't make the song better or worse, but it just depends on where you are as a person. So the way I approach content, it isn't necessarily, is the content going to work for the viewer? What I make might be useful or entertaining to, let's just say, 100 people, but if my hook or how I introduce them or present this idea to them in the first 3 to 5 seconds isn't interesting enough, then people won't watch the rest of the video. So how I'm able to pump out, let's just call it 10 videos out of one idea, I film 9 other introductions to the content. And a lot of that, it comes from the commercial space that I've worked in. It's like, how do you sell this one new basketball shoe to 5 different customers? How do you sell it to the professional athlete? How do you sell it to the kid? How do you sell it to the young adult? How do you sell it to the middle-aged folks? And how do you sell it to college athletes? Those are all 5 different commercials selling the same shoe. And how you present that shoe has to be different through each commercial. So I produce my content to be the same way. And I think a lot of people have this disdain for the algorithm because they think the algorithm isn't feeding their content to people. And it's not because your content is bad, it's because you're not presenting it in the first 3 seconds the way people want to consume. There's people who may like comedic. I said this was gonna be 90 seconds. Here I am doing the fucking workshop. Anyways, people may like things presented to them more humorously. People might like things presented to them that's poking at their insecurity. People may like things being more direct. And how you basically want to Trojan horse your idea in the way you introduce your content. And that's how I'm able to come up with so many different videos. If I make a video about this filter, I can make 10 different introductions and it gives me 10 different videos. I can hit 10 different people, 10 different types of people. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no problem. Nice.
One more question?
Let's go.
Yeah, hey. Stefan from Germany.
Right.
Yeah. I have a few questions. I think, I not so much in the topic, but I'm very interested in behind. I know Benjamin for maybe 12 years, observed him, and also I think it's impressive what you do. What was your first hire? How big is your team now? How do you organize your team, efficient and effective? Yeah, it's it.
My first hire, well, it was different when it was a production company. As a production company, it was me as a director and my business partner and editor. And then from there, we hired based off of what the production allowed. And everybody was just a contractor as to how many different producers do we need, how many XYZs, and I would fit it to the budget. But now running myself as a media company, my first hires were other editors. And how I did that was I would trial edit people. I would see if the skill was there, but also see if the work compatibility is there. And I would pay them for their trial edit. And more often than not, they were capable of doing the job. And it just depended if they were able to handle the workload. And I started off with the creative team and just me directing the creative team myself. And now I've hired a project manager, a post-production supervisor, a full management team. I'd say my creative team now is, I think 9 or 10 people, maybe. I'm always hiring. I always need more editors and post-production folks to handle all the projects. And then it came to figuring out the people to manage those projects. And a whole lot of growing pains. I've never made a legit company before. So I was kind of just figuring out how to make things more efficient. And I'd say overall now my team is now I have a legal side, I have the management side, and I have my creative side, and I have my community management side. So I'd say all in all, 20-something people, which is nuts because I'm just a dude with a camera, but it's been a lot of growing pains and more than the skill that was like, do our personalities work well with each other?
All right, guys. If you have any more questions on Adrian, he's probably sticking around for a couple more minutes.
Yeah, I'll stick around for a minute.
And thank you so much for showing up here at New Trend Society. Thanks to Now Coffee, thanks to the team, Peter who takes care of the content, Camilo who was in charge of setting this all up, the whole gang out here, everybody who was involved. It was really, really amazing. So thanks again, and see you guys soon. Every 2 weeks, New Trend Society podcast.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks, guys.